We at Transportation Riders United believe that transit is an essential service and that everyone should be able to get where they need to go. One of the most key components for us achieving that mission, though, are our members, our paid membership. And here to speak further on that, we have two wonderful members and TRU Board members with us, Mr. Paul Jones III and Mr. Dave Gifford. Thanks for joining us on Tapping into Transit.
You bet.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So we're just going to talk about TRU membership here for a second. But before we get to that, I just want to know, Paul, then Dave, why does transit matter to you?
Yeah, so transit matters to me, really just as a Detroiter when I think about the future of our city, and the things that need to happen for us to really ensure that this is like the vibrant place that I want it to be. I know that transit is central to that. It really touches every issue that our city has. When you think about education, you can't get to school if you don't have access to transit. If you think about healthcare, you can't get to your doctor's appointments and those things without quality access to transportation. So we really, I just really, when I look at the world right now, when I think about COVID-19, just all the different issues that we have, I think transit is a piece of all of those things that we're going to have to address to move forward.
Definitely. There's a lot of different intersections in which transit impacts Detroiters' lives every day. And I think we try to talk about that a lot, as much as we can at TRU. Dave, why is transit important to you? I know it's very important to you.
Yeah. So from an urban planning aspect, I got into public transit looking at the high cost of our infrastructure and different ways to move people around, and seeing what was historic about our transportation, where it currently is now, seeing how much room for improvement there is. As I dove deeper into the subject, I realized there was a huge equity issue between Detroit and the suburbs, with people trying to reach the jobs in the suburbs. And that really opened my eyes to the great need to improve public transit here in Detroit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's why we do what we do. Is there is a lot of inequity in terms of mobility access between the suburbs and Detroit, and we want to acknowledge those gaps and fill them where we can. So Dave, it seems like you kind of touched on this a little bit in your last answer, but what was your TRU story, Dave? How did you get involved with TRU? And then Paul.
I flirted with the idea of pursuing a degree in urban planning a long time ago. And I didn't end up going that direction with my career choice, but I was still very much involved in just tracking the progress of the urban planning and just city design here in Metro Detroit. And as Detroit was rebuilding and things were happening downtown, just seeing all the people that were working down there, the new jobs, the the stadiums and things like that. Been following this for a long time. So originally I started a Facebook page called Metro Detroiters for Commuter Rail, seeing that as the first step. And as I started learning more about the bus, in 2016, I decided to take my first bus trip. I moved down to Warren from Rochester, where there was no bus access, to Warren, where there were buses. And I said, all right, I promote this thing. I support it. I need to start figuring this out on my own. And realized it was not an easy thing to figure out, even with an app and all the information out there, and trying to get change to make fares and transfer fees. It's not a very easy thing. And I got in touch with Stephen Maisloff, who is a board member with TRU. And over the years, he pursued me to join TRU and become a board member. And after about a year or so, I decided to submit my application and join TRU.
Nice. And Dave, you also, just very briefly, you also have your own transit website, Transit Guide Detroit.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, I saw a need that there was no one website where one could go and find all the information for all the transit providers in Metro Detroit. You had to go to about 4 or 5 different websites to look up fare information, to find maps, to find just the nuts and bolts of how to use transit. So I put those all together, and then I started writing blogs on how to use the different transit providers and also where they go. Most transit providers have plenty of information on when their schedules are, how much it costs, but not many have the resources to promote where you can ride it to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Transit Guide Detroit. That's an awesome resource for taking your first ride, getting on transit by our own Mr. Dave Gifford. Paul, I know you're also you are an urban planner.
Yes.
Tell us your true
Yeah,
story.
so I guess I can kind of give the urban planner origin story as well. I grew up on the northwest side of the city, so I think like just growing up in Detroit, I had a lot of questions very early on. Going downtown with my parents, seeing walking through office buildings and stuff and seeing like these gleaming things, but also new stadiums and stuff. But also like on my way home, there are just these long stretches of disinvestment, and there are abandoned houses just a couple of blocks over, and like why does that happen? So that was really what got me interested in urban planning. I really when I was in high school was really interested in architecture, but then as I like saw that urban planning kind of encompass that bigger picture, that was what I decided to pursue. And so I went to Wayne State, and I started there in 2015 in urban studies, graduated in 2019. I did a stint in the mayor's office with the innovation team for about a year and a half. And then I just last fall started grad school at University of Michigan to pursue my master's in urban and regional planning. And so in my time at Wayne State is where I got connected to TRU. One of my good friends, Christina Curtis, was a TRU intern, and she kind of pulled me in, gave me a free bus pass at WSU. That was the first time I had taken a bus. I lived here my whole life. I never really thought about getting on DDOT because really that was not something that like someone my age in pre-bankruptcy Detroit would have wanted to do. And so I just being at Wayne State and having access to a lot more options there really just made me go ahead and start to explore some of the options about that existed already. I think I always thought a lot about like my fantasy transit world. I just do that as a planner all the time, but just like actually understanding like what's here and being able to tell people like, no, there is a bus that goes right by your house that you just don't take. And if you don't do that, we can't move forward with. And this is obviously in the pre-COVID world, but it's like if you don't take advantage of what's there, it's more difficult for us to really get the momentum that we need to understand that like this is something that people need, and this is something that people are going to use, and it's provided to them. So that's really how I got involved with TRU. I started with the board last January, before the world completely changed. So it's kind of I was reflecting a little earlier and just thinking about like this year. It's felt like the longest year on the board, but also the shortest year on the board at the same time. But I'm really excited to be a part of the work in this way and to really be connected with TRU as an organization and just the people who are involved with TRU who have taught me a lot about this advocacy work that is really important for this cause.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you said it really well there. Like this is important work, and we as transit advocates bring each other and bring riders, and we network together, and that's how I think a lot of us found TRU.
Yes. And also Twitter definitely played a big role. Me and Dave have been connected on Twitter for a while. And so I definitely always saw TRU things on Twitter. And that is, I've had a few viral tweets myself that are usually very local, but so that also is definitely been a big tool where a lot of urbanists really connect there, and other transit advocates really connect there.
And you can check us out at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Detroit Transit. Thanks for the little reminder there, Paul. So just to kind of wrap up here, kind of in just a minute here. You both came to TRU from other members, other people that are already involved in the organization brought you in. We are so thankful at TRU to have such a diverse collection of voices through both our board members, our allies, and our membership. One of our biggest assets at TRU is our network. So both of you being TRU members and TRU board members, why would you tell somebody to join TRU as a member? Why come to TRU? Why support TRU?
So I think for me, especially at a time right now where it's so easy to feel isolated from what's going on in the city, what's going on just around these types of issues, being connected to an organization like TRU and getting updates about, okay, what's happening with bus service because of COVID. Because, most of us are working from home right now. I definitely have not been riding transit because I really don't go anywhere. So just like really being able to talk to other board members and talk to people who are just really doing the work and understanding like, okay, this bill for COVID relief for transit is here, or this is happening. So it just is really a valuable resource for understanding what's going on and staying connected in a meaningful way to the people who are trying to push this forward.
Dave, why join TRU?
So I've come to see TRU as kind of the media behind Detroit's transit scene. There's dozens of reporters that report on the automotive scene in Detroit, what's happening with roads and car companies, and the transit providers are usually, they only make the news when something bad happens, or they're trying to ask for a millage for funding or something. So TRU is kind of we're the feet on the ground that are keeping tabs on all the transit agencies and reporting, and joining TRU helps fund what we do and keep that going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's excellently put, Dave. If you, to join TRU, first and foremost, supports TRU, keeps us fighting for better transit, helps support us in bringing you awesome content like Tapping Into Transit, providing you the news updates, the action alerts, supports all of the resources that we try to keep available to our community at DetroitTransit.org. It is also the way becoming a paid member gains you access to our members only newsletter, where we have exclusive content and news briefs. Our members only newsletter, it's kind of where we put that extra push for our members. And as of recently, you can also receive your choice of TRU swag. We have these awesome tote buses, I Support Public Transit, and the highly sought after TRU Squishy Bus, in addition to our snazzy cell phone wallet, all of which is branded with our awesome TRU logo and lets people know that you support public transit. So if you haven't already, please consider joining TRU, becoming a TRU member today. You could do so at DetroitTransit.org/donate. Anybody who gives any money to TRU is a TRU member. These guys help support our wonderful organization. They give their money, they give their time, they give their talents, and so many other of our wonderful advocates do the same. Joining TRU means joining a community of bus riders and advocates fighting to push for better public transit. Dave, Paul, thank you so much for joining us on Tapping Into Transit. Anything else you'd like to add before we peace out here?
Just a quick question. People can donate one time or monthly, correct?
Yes, we have monthly sustainer options, and we also have one-time donations, and any donation, big or small, you are a member of TRU.
Gotcha.
Thanks for clarifying,
Awesome.
Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for joining us, you guys, and this has been Tapping Into Transit. I'm Andre Adepola, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Thank you, Andre.